Okay. Yep, few people here, so I don't know what you've got on your agenda.
We have one real quick thing we want to talk about. We did get Horse Butte to come in and sign a maintenance agreement.
Okay.
You gave them permission last week to get in there and plow, but we wanted to formalize it, so.
Okay,
And get your signature on that, so.
so if they
Damage the road, yeah.
That's good. Trusting your wording of it. Where
It's the same one that we've had
Okay.
before.
So we
So
okay, they're gonna plow.
They're working basically on Eagle Pass Road up Kep's grade back to where they're replacing a couple blades on a windmill.
Yeah, they gotta go up to the top where Blaine Simmons's house is, where their power station is.
Yeah,
So that's where they are.
pretty close to
How
there.
long will they be?
So they told KR that they're expecting to be out of there by the end of this week. I
Okay.
don't know that they're gonna be quite that quick.
Okay.
KR thinks that they'll be out of there by the end of December, and that's where he wrote the agreement.
End of December,
Yeah,
so we're gonna keep that road open for them.
they are going to. That's what this maintenance agreement is. If they have to get back there, they plow it and they maintain it. If there's any damage, it's on them.
Okay, well, that's different than we talked about yesterday. We were talking about closing at the next storm.
Well, and that's what we've talked to them about too. But we'll probably, after the next storm, we'll probably still lock it. But he'll have a key to get in with his equipment. If he needs to, with the maintenance agreement, and if any damage, he's responsible for the damage.
But he's gonna be allowed to plow it.
If he needs to, yeah.
So my concern with that is fences. Plowing snow up on fences that we've never done before.
Yeah.
If he blows it, blowing snow out in.
He's not gonna blow any snow. for a
It'll
while.
all be plowing, there's no blower.
And right now, he is very little done plowing, and again, he thinks he's gonna be out of there by the end of this week.
I'm not sure they're gonna have much snow to plow. This next storm doesn't look that big.
By the end of December.
Well, if he gets out of there earlier, then it won't be a question.
Do we give him a date on this?
I think the date in there says by the end of December. He intends to be out of there earlier than that.
Oh, yeah. Effective until midnight, December 31st. I think that date should be moved up. And if he intends on being out of there earlier than that, I'd like to see that moved up to December 10th. Or no, where are we now? We're the
Well, it'd
6th.
be,
How about the 15th?
he's already signed it, but I mean, we can get him back and try to redo it, but modify it.
With the possibility of extension if the blades don't get in.
We could talk about an extension, but I
Yeah.
think right now, I don't wanna give him carte blanche until the end
So
of
is
December.
the 15th next
Are you
Friday?
guys okay with that?
Yeah,
We can work with that. So the 15th would be
well, initial,
Friday.
I'd give him another week beyond.
And then,
the other consideration we did may have to be in some measures, crime scene.
Yeah.
I think
That would be a-
which is, yeah.
Jack
we may-
Merrill,
this cattle that goes back in there.
See, that's the other issue. Right? Got to go in there to open our road. We have crime scene.
For the crime scene, yeah.
My guess, I thought it was the whole thing.
Yeah.
When people were saying there's still a bunch of cattle back in there. Yeah. Yeah.
So they,
And it's,
they need to let them know that she needs to get it out there. Good question.
I don't think that's the agenda.
Oh. Okay. Okay, what else we got? What's
You wanna have,
everybody here? Bill?
I think some of them are here for the 49th North, but I think you've also got some people here for the Swan Valley. Is that from data processing, maybe?
Yeah.
You wanna talk about the Swan Valley thing first?
Yeah, that would be good.
That would give it.
Okay, so. Okay. Let's talk about the hauling fees, because I guess there was an issue that, especially since Blair's here. Of the inconsistency, up on the hauling fee in Swan Valley because of the seasonal issue. If you guys want to explain, what the issue was, we had an individual come up with an RV park. And they only, they only have their dumpsters up there, which is a little different than down here. Is if they remove the dumpsters, they can't get anybody to bring new ones, you know, part of the year. So we asked, there's Tom Sylvester, that came in, and he said PSI gives them a bill that you can verify what dates that they're dumping those. With the idea that that's what the hauling fee would be adjusted to, is on the seasonal. No, we're not doing it on summer homes because you no way of validating whether they're Airbnb with those or anything. We made that change. But we needed some specific guidance for landfill and data on how to adjust those. And the suggestion was made is you have to bring in their hauler and the times that they haul, because they put it on vacation. So they don't use the dumpsters, and so there's nothing to haul. So the haul fee is based on the actual time that they're hauling.
So they suspend them for the winter months, they don't do pickups.
Right, but they don't use our haul, I mean, they shouldn't be paying a haul fee
Exactly.
That's,
at all.
And our letter to data was not real clear on that,
Okay,
and so we want to clarify that in the minutes.
so, I guess one question that I have is. There are some people up there, residential people that have curbside,
right,
so they're also paying a haul fee, which they probably shouldn't. One of the suggestions that Lance and I talked about, in years past, is that we just remove the haul fee from all of Swan Valley, and that the county sucks up that haul fee. And that way, the people that it's gonna be beneficial to the people that use the landfill, but yet the people that have curbside are not gonna be paying the haul fee.
Well, but are the people that having curbside still can access the transfer station?
Well,
See,
they
in
have
commercial-
curbside pickup, so.
Well, but they
They
can
will still access it
access
with other types of
yeah,
all the
trash.
Christmas wrapping doesn't fit in their dumpster,
So they'll,
but they make a trip, but
yeah, this is for commercial
right,
haulers.
I understand that, but there's
who
also
are-
residential people up
And
there.
they're not permitted, as we understand it. It's not there.
Yeah, well,
no. it's
I guess
supposed
that's
to
a
be-
catch 22, that. Most of the people create so much trash that it's their choice to have cans. Because it's inconvenient for them, I guess, to use the transfer station. So it's their choice to have a can or go to the,
Okay, but how do you keep track of those on the individual residents?
well,
If they're coming to the transfer station?
so you're gonna terminate all the commercial haul fees?
We're going to adjust it to this.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but are you gonna do that for all of the commercial people up there?
Well, but they're. Yeah, for all the commercial.
Yeah,
people.
okay.
I think
For
we
all
have
the
a
commercials that
spreadsheet.
are doing seasonal,
Seasonal.
But what
Right,
about,
that's why it comes down to the accounting as to whether or not they suspend service for the winter or they retain service throughout the winter.
right, I
Yeah,
understand
So
that.
that's just,
Or just
So
like-
take,
I got a-
Kroger's
I
for-
got a hunch the store goes all year round. That's
Yeah,
a commercial hauler.
Right.
Okay, so you do it based on the records of the hauler for the time of the year used. Just keep it that simple for
Okay,
now.
yeah.
Does that make it?
I'm not sure that sounded that simple to the people that are doing the.
No,
But,
yeah, no, it totally is. That's fine,
That
but
was their suggestion.
Right, for them. Because right now they're getting charged the landfill and the hauling fee. Which that's what they're complaining about. That's what Tom was complaining about.
And they're not hauling.
Right.
See, because they're not using the transit, the haul fee up there is for the use of the transfer station.
so. So do you want us, I guess, so do you want data to go through, find all the commercial people up there and then your suggestion is remove that?
Well, I think,
Or all the
Seasonal commercial.
So
Make
on each one of them, you have to know if
They're
they
seasonal or not.
suspend for the winter months or if they run all winter. And they get that report from the commercial haulers.
Okay, but then that goes back to, and I'm not arguing with you, but what I'm saying is Trovers have PSI year round. And they pay a haul fee, which they
Trover.
should not be paying.
Trover,
The ice cream, square ice cream place
Well,
have cans,
they're a commercial.
yeah,
So
that's
they
what I'm
should
saying, so
have-
can. That should be eliminated off of
Because we're
their
not,
tax.
because the residents up there aren't paying to have it hauled
Right.
out of the transfer
So
station.
what's what I'm saying, so do we need to get a list of all the commercial people up there
She's got,
that have curbside? And then remove that, so then data's going to remove that off
Yes.
of there. Okay.
so does that understand?
Yeah.
And there's a list. I like that.
Now, do you guys understand does that clarify the original letter?
So it's mainly the campgrounds that we're gonna eliminate for
Seasonal,
seasonal.
yeah.
Okay.
And what, I guess, how are we gonna know which ones are seasonal? I mean, some of them are obvious.
She'll tell you.
Report that to us. so-
Yeah, I can just go check them.
That's the best way.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I'll check them.
And then we can make adjustments and, we're gonna see next year. But we can't just totally eliminate it off everybody this year.
Right.
So. Okay,
As much as that make 800 people really happy.
so
All this-
with that
Absolutely.
agreement, the minutes. Let's make sure that, we'll notify data to. Use the hauling fee based on the bills from the hauler on the seasonal use. And all other commercial that are having a commercial hauler, not using the transfer station will be eliminated.
and then verified by solid waste.
Verified by solid waste, given to data. Okay,
And you're gonna do that, you're not going to do that this year? You are gonna-
we're going to do that part of it this year.
Okay.
It's something that was not clear in the instructions we sent to them in our letter. When they put it on there.
Good.
Okay,
That work?
okay, does that answer all your questions?
Yeah, the ones for 2023, we will do corrections for those people, right? to let
Correct.
them know ASAP.
Okay,
Thank you for your hard work.
yes. It was a lot of hard work to do this.
It's been a headache.
Yeah. Okay. Now what?
I think, a number of people are here for 49th North, and I don't know who wants to talk about that first, or,
I'll
Okay.
start it off.
Okay. Come on up.
Austin, when you put that. First, not the 150 drawing, but the.
so I
47.
sent a copy to all the commissioners, a letter that I sent to the school district about the developments along 49th North.
So we're here to talk
Like the
about,
150,
pardon me,
do you want the 150 or the 240?
the 240 right now, and then we'll go. So we're here to talk about, I'm here, Jeff Freiberg with J. Freiberg Engineering. I'm working with the school District 93 on the school. The new school up on 49th, and Eagle Rock is here as well. Paul Snar's here with Eagle Rock, and they're doing some development on 49th Street as well, on the south side of 49th, that's what we're talking about. to talk about the school, and then I have another drawing I here that blows out what we're doing, so Austin. So this is what's on the screen now is what the school is planning on building, a new elementary school, and as you see, it's on the south side of 49th Street. So Austin, will you put the 150 drawing up, please? Yeah. And so this is what we're here to talk about. This is can you zoom it out? Please? Yeah, there you go. So here's 49th Street. 35th East, 49th North. School district property or project, Wolf Creek. Future Badger Creek. Individual resident. And so what Road and Bridge has asked us to do is, and why we're here and it evolved into talks with Eagle Rock and Liberty Homes as well, is why we're here is to talk about what we need to do for 49th North as far as how we're gonna finish it. Lance has told us that what we need to do is build half of a 5-lane section and a bus turn lane right there for our development, for our project. The red line on this drawing represents an existing overhead transmission line from Rocky Mountain Power that will need to be relocated if we have to build our 5-lane section. So if we have to build the 5-lane section, that means, and this dark line right here represents the box culvert bridge that's there too. So if we build our 5-lane section, which is kind of hatched in the pink magenta, that means moving this power line south, obviously, and then moving it back north up here, which is very expensive and kind of puts our project in peril if we just have to move that little section. So if you window back out, Austin, so what we think needs to happen is this whole power line needs to be moved at some point, not at this point. And then in the future, when we're developing all of 49th North, then we can take care of all the improvements that need to happen for it at that time. So that means Badger Creek doing their part of 49th North and Wolf Creek, and then somehow get this guy involved. There's a lot of moving parts on 49th North. And to just have the school district widen their little section right here doesn't make a lot of sense at this point, in our opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're here.
Question, is that utility in the public right of way?
So the utility, there's portions of it that it probably is in the right of way. There's portions where it is not.
Do they have their own easement, Rocky Mountain?
I don't think that they probably do have their own easement at this point. The transmission line's been there for quite a while.
They'd have a prescriptive easement where it's been there for so long.
We don't know which portions are in the public right of way.
So through previous plating, where we've got the total of 100-foot right of way or 50 foot on each side, like on Wolf Creek, it probably is within the right of way of that 50 foot. But through the portions that are not platted yet, it's probably not.
Probably, we haven't checked.
Well, I haven't checked, but looking at where it is now, it's outside of what our prescriptive right of way would be. But if they plat it, it goes into that 50-foot right of way. That's where, if it's unplatted, it's probably far enough off the edge of the roadway that it's not in the right of way or
The
prescriptive
reason
right of
I
way.
ask is on projects, if we start a project, Rocky Mountain's responsible for
If the county starts a road widening project and it's within the right of way, yes, it is.
So if we ever started the road right away, Bucking Mount Power would have to do that. If we ever started the project.
If Bonneville County did it as a Bonneville County job, yeah, we would expect them to do that.
But not if Bonneville County requests the developer to, I mean, that would not be,
That's where it gets, I think, a little bit iffy, because if it's developer driven, then without the developer there, the power line doesn't need to move.
Yeah, but it's also,
It's driven by us and the developers are participating. Is that just language?
okay, it's also a Bonneville County project because they're building the Bonneville County cross section.
I agree with you. I don't know how I go to Rocky Mountain Power and say this is a county sponsored project or a county paid for project, and we're requiring you to move at your expense. I don't know how I do that. If it was Bonneville County coming in and doing this road project, we've done that, and we continue to do that. Where it's development driven, it gets a little gray area.
so one of the discussions we had was. What if the developers, right now, even if the developers in the school district widen this. It's gonna be great right there, but then you've got bottlenecks on both sides, where it's gonna come back down to 2 lanes, so. At this point, why not wait until the whole road is designed, can be built correctly and.
Well, part of the reason we've been doing this, we've, talked to Rockwell and everybody, right? If we would have had this policy when the developments were along Iowa Road, we'd be able to afford to, get that road finished, by the subdivision building. Yeah, because we just had 45th East, which was very expensive, and we had the school out there, which drove that. Thunder Ridge, all the traffic in there. There's not the funds for the county to do all of those type of roads.
Yeah, we were wondering if there would be an escrow or.
Well, that's part of what needs to be part of the discussion here.
And we don't have that option in our development agreement at this point in time to have a cost in lieu of or participating cost up front. And we've talked about that
And then it would be a county project when
yes,
happens.
but at this point in time, we don't have that with.
So we would require them to make some type of a deposit or bonds.
Well, so most of the time, these types of things are cash in lieu of. So it's an actual hard payment where the money is sitting in a bank account, waiting for the county to go say, we have enough to do the rest of the project.
So I have I have a few concerns with that approach, and I voiced this same concern with City of Idaho Falls and collecting their impact fees to do the road. But you go put this school out there, you put all these housing developments out there. You put all the impact on that road, right? And then the county comes in 3 years and says, hey, we're gonna widen this road. And now you shut down that whole road, which impacts the traffic flows in and out of there. Wherewith if you're building it at the same time that you're building the developments, then the road is getting constructed. And you're not then coming back to all this impact you've put on the road and shutting down the whole road to do the project.
Philosophy.
You can do half a road though.
I'm saying if you just collect the money and say, okay, the county's gonna come in and do a county sponsored project in 5 years. Then we're coming in, having built all of this new housing, the new school, putting all of the impact on 49th North. But then without the infrastructure, whereas if we build it up front, then the infrastructure is already there. For that traffic, and you're not coming in later and shutting down the road.
Once everybody's there.
Once you've already put all the additional impact in that roadway.
You do have all of the infrastructure roads. There's several accesses out of these subdivisions. Or will be.
Well, there
but
will
they're
be,
not there now.
uh, if I remember, the policy for building schools is usually off of arterials.
Yeah.
Cause I can't remember one, well, maybe other Bonneville High School.
So in the planning and zoning ordinance, it talks about having schools near arterials, but on collector roads or something like that. So in this particular instance, that was brought up early, and the main access for this for the public is gonna be off the interior subdivision road. And in the letter, I addressed that too, that it's like we're allowing, or would it allow for one access point if it's bus only with some gates and make sure the public can't use the access off of the arterial road into the school property?
And how would that change with your 5-lane requirement?
It wouldn't. The amount of traffic that is generated by all the subdivisions and the school itself puts the traffic out onto 49th North. So that doesn't change.
And what's the width you're requiring? 5-lane section?
For the half of the width, well, so in the letter, it has a cross section, so. Yeah, half of a turn lane and 2 11 or 12-foot lanes, curb gutter, sidewalk, a buffer area. In a shared use priority area, it also talks about a bike lane. Now, there's some differences of between what we can accept, whether we have the bike lane is separated or on the street, or there's some nuances there to what we can work with a developer on. So it's not a hard fast, it will absolutely be this.
Okay, give me a ballpark then.
So. 30, 36, 40 feet of asphalt.
You want me to jump in? So on this, go back to the other one, Austin, please.
Yeah, 35, 36.
Oh, sorry, that's. the
If you
same
use that
one.
cross-
Click the wrong one.
And that cross section is slightly different than BMPO's, but I mean, it's pretty between that 30, 36 to 40, somewhere in there range of asphalt from the
Move
center
around a little
line.
bit, please. Keep going. So this, bring this down.
Ladder.
That's the bus drop off 49.
So up here.
It's a rolling chair, don't do this.
Just point.
Up here, this is 37.5 feet to back a curve, the center line of the arterial, that's the normal section. The bus decel lane is 49.5 feet. And you see the power line, the red power line is where we're talking about the gas lines also in the right of way, by the way.
So between 36 and a half and 40,
37 and 49.
I mean, that's why it's hard to give you an exact figure, because it does change depending on what.
Pardon me.
Thanks.
49 would be 100 foot.
30 the dash line.
49 and be out to the 50-foot right away, it'd be right to the edge of it, yeah.
The existing, this dash line is the existing asphalt here and here. That's the center line. That's the proposed sewer line. We have to put the sewer line in, so 49th is gonna be closed whenever we get there, because it's going right down the middle. Don't show them this drawing, but the bridge is right there that we have to jack and bore under. This water line right here, this 12-inch water line's gotta go right here, have to go underneath the canal right there. We don't have to jack and bore, it's just up here. There's a lot of stuff going on in 49th North, obviously. Makes sense to us just to build it to here and then at some point build all these improvements. I just would like to
Build it to where?
build it to the existing edge of asphalt.
So you basically, what he's saying is not improve the road
Until we're ready.
at all.
Because if you Now, would you go to the other one, Austin, please, the 150? Wolf Creek isn't required to build anything right here. So
They came in and platted before this.
agreed. I'm just telling you what's gonna happen. Wolf Creek's not required to build anything, so everything's gonna bottleneck right down to here.
And to the east.
And the bridge is right here. It's off of our property, so it's gonna be a bottleneck.
But to solve the bottleneck, not doing anything, that's the whole burden on
Well,
the county.
I
It's like
did-
49.
There's gonna be a burden on it no matter what.
Well-
If we plan for this whole section, this south section of 49th all the way down to Bridger Creek, that would be in the way to do it. And then we could still detour around it during construction if we build it 5 years from now.
Well, if you build it, because you've got to come up with funding.
Well-
and that's gonna be a problem. That's why we're trying to get the developers build their,
That's why I think we advance what Lance was saying and figure out some way to put a development agreement, some funds in some escrow account. If it's hard cash or if it's a bond or whatever.
Well, the problem with cash too may be you know, put a cash deposit down for that improvement and it doesn't get done for 10 years.
And the cost
You
of
probably-
excavating.
That's
concern
You can't go for that.
But there's a percentage on that bond that the county requires too. That's quite-
No, not on a bond. So, well, when the way the wording right now is, the bond is what the bond is, there's no escalation in that, depending on the cost of escalation of the project. That, there's nothing involved with that. There's nothing involved with a cash deposit either. The way we've seen prices escalate in the past few years, I could go out there and say the estimate is $3 million and it costs 10. And there's no way to go back and say, hey, by the way, I asked for 3, I got 3, but I really need 10.
So I have a couple of questions that I'm gonna ask because I'm naive enough to this process and new enough in the office that you can also look at this, I don't know anything yet. And ignore the questions, but it would seem like the simple solution might be moving the road to the north for that 100 feet, expanding and.
It's a lot more
right
than
away there.
100 foot.
Well, it's not, because you've got the existing roadway and you're going that much from the side of the roadway. So instead of expanding the 35 feet of the school district side, wouldn't it be less expensive to pick up right away and do it all the way down the other side and not move the power
But the
line,
school
and not
doesn't-
move the water line and not
Yeah.
move the sewer line?
They're still gonna have to do those things.
They're
But
still
if
gonna
you
have
go
to
on
do
the
those
north
things,
side,
but it's not-
somebody else
I
owns
wouldn't
it.
have to move
You're
if
talking
you put
going,
it over there.
you're talking moving to the north though.
Yes.
We don't have the right of way on.
Not right now. You don't get those till you go by them. But wouldn't that be possibly a less expensive, less problematic approach? I'm just asking because I'm naive and
the
I don't.
sewer's gonna have to be put in there anyway.
Well,
Yes, it
and I
The
think
other comment
the
that I
very
have before,
simple, the very simple answer is if you move all of the roadway north, you end up with what happens on Iona where you have a kink in it that later on becomes more of a problem than having.
I'm just throwing that out as an option because y'all know more than me. The other thing I would say is that I don't ever care to see a school built before the roads are improved, so we have to deal with what we had at Thunder Ridge and what we had at the elementary school in Hammond off of Wanda, attacking a dead end street, doing all that bus traffic down residential feeders. We need to plan better than that. We need to plan better than that with the school district. So here we are, talking about the elementary school, which has more car traffic than a high school. And you're saying we don't want to build the road for 5 years after we put students in there for 3 or 4?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that 49th has got all kinds of bottlenecks and it doesn't
Yes.
make sense to, at this time, to build that section in front of the school right now. That's what I'm saying.
When are they looking at having the school done?
They're moving dirt in March.
August.
Be nice if we could get Rocky Mountain on board somehow to.
Well, I had a discussion with one of their bosses not long ago about Hammond Road and them moving the power line on Ammon Road next to Rocky Mountain Middle School. Not moving it, just putting in new poles, when they should have used that opportunity to move it out of the right of way, so that when the road expansion occurs, they don't have to up and move all those fancy new poles that just put in. He agreed. Pretty poor planning on somebody's part in their office.
I see the piece to the east is platted. Is that right?
The piece to the east is platted both on the north and on the south side, but it was platted before the requirements of these arterial.
So they're not gonna be
improvements.
required to do it either.
So it becomes a county
They're not
project.
gonna be,
I thought
They're
Bridger
not-
Creek was just.
Badger
preliminary
Creek.
plat.
to the
Badger
east.
Creek
Badger
will be
Creek.
required.
So Badger Creek is being platted now. The stuff further east was done quite a while ago.
Is this Badger Creek you're talking about?
So right here is Badger Creek on the
So
south,
they
side.
Badger Creek
will
is
be
not
Badger
platted yet.
Creek. So they are going to have to do their road improvements, which is why it's being shown on their improvement preliminary plat of having arterial road improvements.
And is that gonna proceed in the next couple of years?
Well, Badger Creek is
Positive
in the
that.
process right now.
This is only preliminary platted. It's not platted yet. Badger Creek.
No, it's not platted yet, but it's in the process.
Right.
But further east, it is platted.
Further west.
I'm talking further east, there's a subdivision just past Badger Creek too.
Well, I mean, there's a reality, you're gonna have some bottlenecks or stuff, and it's been quite a few years ago when we widened Hit Road. All the way from the city limit out to the highway. And it had been widened from basically Walmart south, and you had a bottleneck right Old Falls. You know, that eventually they got fixed. You're not gonna avoid that unless we do it the way we're doing on 45th East, which there's no reasonable fiscal way we can do that.
Well, I think what needs to happen, and I agree with these street improvements, this power line is really kind of the big elephant in the room. And I think Rocky Mountain Power should be responsible to move that. And I've had that discussion with Lance.
We apparently haven't talked to him yet.
Oh, I talked with Bill Brayback about it. But he feels that since it's not a county project, he should be dealing directly with the developer on that.
Isn't that semantics, because it's our project?
Yeah.
It doesn't do it when you get to move
It's
this
a
portion of it, it needs to
county-required
be moved all the way
project.
down.
And
For the county.
so again, I've talked with Bill Brayback about it. That was what his standpoint was. I have not talked with Tim Solomon about it.
Well, we need to set up a meeting with them and us then and talk
I'll
about.
probably get somebody too.
It's a
other than
grand
Bill.
idea.
He retired and then they brought him back on, but there's other people we can talk to as well.
Tim Solomon. He's-
Yeah.
He's the boss. Yeah, give us a chance to work on that part of it. But it's gonna be real hard to, especially on both of these across there, not to get those road improvements, or we're gonna have the same problem we got on Iona Road. We haven't been able to widen because of funding. Now we've got the possibility of a grant to do that.
Possibility, yeah.
That's a possibility, but had we had all of those subdivisions built out there, that'd reduce the total cost, even if we would have had them built then, or if we would have had a bond, it would have reduced the cost, even those prices have gone up. To where we could afford to work it in our budget. This area out here is high growth. And there's an impact with Ammon and Iona. Now, they've agreed to extend their services and annex into those cities. And then they take care of that when they develop it with the service. But looking back 20 years ago, and I would have liked to have seen us do this earlier. But all of a sudden, we got hit with this big boom. I mean, Iona Road was just a small thing, and then all of a sudden it exploded out there. And the schools were a big impact on, we've still got this problem with First Street. We've got the problem with 45th. That whole project along there to handle that traffic is costing us 17 million,
It's over that on 45th East.
45th East, you know.
It'll be close to 20 by the time we're done. with that.
Yeah,
And you guys didn't have to pay for the power relocation.
and we didn't have to pay for the power relocation, but that's a separate issue.
I get
that
it.
We can start tackling.
I think we agree with you that this should be considered a Bonneville County project as far as Rocky Mountain's concerned.
And I don't know if that's our
Rather we-
development agreement ends up being an MOU. Where they do that on behalf of the county, we can check with our legal counsel on that.
And that's something that, you know, again, I did not talk with Tim Solomon about it, because I felt that after this discussion, we would probably end up talking with Tim Solomon, but that's discussion between the commissioners and Rocky Mountain
So
Power.
give us a time, you know, and I understand time, there's time sensitive to get this going, but. You know, we need to do what we can to get this infrastructure built, because that's what we're requiring all other developers to do.
Scott or John, do you have anything?
No, I'll just say, I understand the concern. I respectfully, Commissioner Christensen, I disagree, that this is like Thunder Ridge. We have elementary schools on main roads all over the county. And what impacts the traffic is what neighborhoods in that school compared to the road. So my neighborhood school, Woodland Hills, traffic on 49 South is really faster because the elementary schools across the road from the main subdivision. If we zoom out on this, the whole reason we're asking to put the school here is because that square mile is completely filled with homes. That eventually the traffic's gonna all flow through the subdivisions and into this school. I don't think we're gonna have very much impact on 49 North at all. It's not like a high school where you're gonna have kids driving from all over that area to get to the school. So it could be 90 to 95% of traffic that would go from inside the subdivision into this school. It's not looking at important.
And I understand that this was a trade of property to put it on 49th South, and it used to be interior,
It used to be essentially just one section farther south.
but interior, and I will disagree with you on the impact of the traffic, because, yeah, grade school kids don't drive, but their parents do to come pick them up, and
Right, but all that traffic is gonna, there's so many kids in that square mile, it's going to all happen from the south and from the east into the school, not coming from 49th.
but you're putting those buses out right up directly onto 49th.
Right, the
There's
handful of
their
buses,
access.
which will be very limited,
Well,
because, well, no, I don't,
Yeah.
there's so many kids in that square mile, we're not gonna be busing kids from other square miles into this school, there's so many kids in that square mile. And it's gonna help a ton with the traffic on the road, because right now, those kids are all going across the road, either Discovery or the Island Elementary, so.
but if you're interior, all those buses filter out and come on.
There are
within that
multi
square
buses
mile.
because you don't bus within that square mile. Makes sense. Those kids will be expected to walk to school where their parents will drive them, which again will all be.
Okay. Going back to my argument that it creates a lot of traffic.
Inside the square mile is what I'm saying. So if you look at that square mile and see how many homes are there. Almost all the students that go to that school are going to live within the square mile, and there's very limited busing, and there's very limited traffic on 49. Yeah, eventually, yeah. So that traffic's gonna come from the south and from this school.
And you've got a canal in there that does present some problems too, which we've tried to get bridges across the canals and different ways across, and that is not fully developed yet either for those people who like Wolf Creek.
Interior, you mean, interior.
Well, even on Wolf Creek right now, there's no bridge across that canal. Those kids are not gonna walk. They're not. Not until the rest of Wolf Creek is developed and bridges are there.
Who's doing Wolf Creek?
Levi Jarvis?
So it doesn't walk in
Bridges here.
No, I don't, well,
We've done several bridges with, yeah, we've designed and installed some. We do have one that's pretty close to. Design. It would take us long to design it once it's.
Car bridges or walking bridges,
Huh?
pedestrian bridges or.
Mhm.
No, they're not
no,
pedestrian bridges.
They're.
They
pedestrian and
accommodate
vehicle,
pedestrians
yeah.
and vehicles.
They've got sidewalks and
What about cars? So which one are you talking about?
I'm talking the one right east of the school property.
That doesn't have a bridge developed? Couldn't be building.
There's no bridge on any of that.
So right now with Wolf Creek, that would be safety bus to the school, there's no safe route for the kids to walk to school, so that's probably the one intention.
And the subdivision to the south too, there's no safe, they'd all have to be safety buses.
it will, it's coming.
Yeah. You see, one of the other issues we've struggled with is when the developers come and do these piece by piece and not having a plan and be responsible for the whole master plan. Which we haven't tackled that yet. We tried to work with the developers, so they can be able to do that.
They have been putting it in, we just haven't hit the point where we're
Yeah, I
crossing
know.
it yet, and so it will happen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, right now, so we're currently on phase 4 of Wolf Creek. Phase 5, we requested 4 or 5 months ago, to all work on that, get that ready. The other ones, I haven't seen it yet, but phase 5 is the end of Wolf Creek. Which,
That's that field
Got all
just
the way
to the
to the-
west of the school.
All
yeah,
that across it.
so that is
Yeah.
basically the last remaining piece.
Here's 4 right here, and then 5 will just be this little bit, and then this road will, the bridge will come through at that point.
Which, if the school's not gonna be done until, by 25, I mean, we're on schedule to start phase 5 as early as we can get it approved, which, really depends on you. Get involved as well, we're gonna be turning dirt. Same time they're turning nowhere, right?
So
Yeah.
that kind of presents a problem too, because I mean, if we go to bat for the school district with Rocky Mountain Power to move the line in front of them, what do we do with all of the other independent developers? I mean, is Rocky
gotta go
Mountain
to
Power
bat.
gonna be expected to do the same thing?
I feel like, in my opinion, we're kind of one of the same, when we're kind of coming here together.
Yeah, that-
We're looking at that section between the school and Badger Creek, which I also,
Because Rocky Mountain could be approached, if starting at Wolf Creek, going all the way. What's the other one to the east?
Badger Creek
And how close does that come? To Ione?
goes all the way to that.
It's.
You got Little
two-
Fan Creek Forest subdivision that's right there. So there's those 2 larger lot subdivisions is where Badger Creek goes to, so it's probably about
It's,
1/4 of a mile.
yeah, probably about a 1/4 mile to 45th east.
so from the east of our Badger Creek on our side, on the south side of the road, there is no option for any other development. Everything else,
It-
all the way to the east
It's platted
is,
already
yeah,
or developed as single family
right.
residence.
I think if you're requesting right away from the developer, that should just trigger the, okay, this is the county project for the arterial 49th or whatever road we're talking about. And that would just say, okay, Rocky Mountain, get this, if Bonneville County wants the right of way and the power lines are in the perspective or the proposed new right of way, then Rocky Mountain Power, regardless if Bonneville County's paying for it or the developer's paying for it, should move the overhead line. That, I think, should be just a policy.
It makes sense to me, but what Rocky Mountain Power is gonna look at this, because it's gonna be a countywide. issue
Right,
for
but what's in their agreement, what's in their franchise agreement?
We don't have a
That should be
franchise
spelled
agreement.
out in the
Do
franchise.
you have a
agreement, I think.
franchise agreement though?
No. So if they're required to have a franchise. Kind of like the railroad.
So we've got a project up on the corner of Sunnyside and Crowley that's got the same issue with the power. And Rocky Mountain's estimator came out and he looked at it and he said, you just need to get Hammond City to make this request, because then it's not gonna cost anything. That's their estimator said that, and he said, I don't wanna do this, because for me to come in and jog here and have to put multiple poles going back and forth, he's like, it just makes our system a mess. So even their estimator didn't like the developer to make that request. And so on that one, Ammon City is just allowing that to be bonded, and then they're going to put it through. They're gonna make the request when they widen that road. Of course, they're gonna do that sooner than later. But it's kind of the same thing, but somehow something's gotta be addressed in the fact that, you know, if the school district doesn't develop this piece of property, nobody's gonna come in and buy that piece of property because it's too expensive to develop out. If they have to move that huge power line. And, you know, and then to have to widen 49th and all of that, all of a sudden it gets, it's the tail end of the burden for all this growth that's happened. The school district is having to pay the expense. I mean, there's gotta be some forethought moving forward that, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think you've gotta impose impact fees on every acre, because it's not just the school district that is causing that to be widened, but really, they're gonna have to pay the whole cost. So how are you gonna address that moving forward?
Impact fees are a different animal in the county than they are in the cities. Because they can be tied to specific projects and there are time limits. So if you have an impact fee, say on a school, then you're locked in to use that within 5 years, I think, of a project. And, you know, we've got the whole county wide with a lot of different roads and a lot of different situations. But I've got some thoughts that we can run by legal counsel. You know, one of them may be to, you know, where this will be a county mandated or project is to go in and try to purchase the rights of way on some that have been developed before that and get the whole right of way along there. And then tell Rocky Mountain that's the beginning of our project to be built in phases, whether you do it in phases, but you already have the right of way, and then ask them to move. So that has to be first, right? Yeah, but that'll take a little work. It's, you know, that it would also be beneficial to acquire the right of way before it gets much more expensive. You know, because when we did 45th, I think right of way along there was
Close to 2 million.
close to $2 million. You know. Because we didn't have these requirements in there. If we continue to do business the way we did 20 years ago, you'll have go trails down through with traffic lined up. You know, like it was during the detour on some of the other boat trails. You know? So give us a chance now that we understand more of the bigger picture. And we'll sit down and go visit legal and kind of find out what, you know, what a good policy to adopt may be. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks.
I guess I need to give Lance on a note that I can use for Badger Creek then.
I don't know. if
Well,
you
I think
guys-
the
school
first
has
phase
one
of Badger
question.
Creek is still, I think we're still looking at the same no, but it's gonna be that determination of when that widening has to happen is a little fuzzy right now.
Yeah. Because I question the school district being considered a development. It feels like we're looked at as if we're developing and subdividing, which we're not, right? We're trying to provide services to the community just like the county is. And it feels like it's a double, it's impacting a certain section of the population. When we had the same conversation back at Black Canyon that all really should be tax dollars for them the other. So I'm not opposed to saying, yeah, we have some responsibility to do our part, but
Which we disagree with you on Black Canyon, and I still disagree with that because you are developing and putting an impact by passing that bond. And if you need to put that cost in the bond.
wouldn't pass.
Hmm?
Wouldn't pass. It's hard enough to get, the way you advertise bond in Idaho, is you run it once, that advertising, then you get others involved, and then you get it passed second time, but if they see that the problem is, our district has 45% of county population. This is a 5-year plan
roughly that you hope to develop a main arterial, I mean, a main belt route that's gonna benefit everybody in the county. And you're asking 45% of people to pay for this part of it. Everybody comes out of Falls for services, for medical, for activities, shopping. That's what makes it unique. This isn't just your normal road. And we weren't aware of that, I don't think, when we acquired the property. And so, I mean, it would seem logical. Either you assess how much it's probably cheaper to have H&K do it than the county build the road, I would assume, somebody, private contractor. Regardless, if we knew the amount, we give it to you, then it is your project. When you go to Rocky Mountain Power, you're building.
And that's what we'll take under consideration, but to say there shouldn't be any cost to the schools, you're not
No,
gonna
but-
get me there.
I mean, it's obviously, we're obligated to keep it safe and make it flow for the local community, but now you're asking us to build out what you've already acknowledged you're gonna do in 5 years, hopefully. With the belt route with the state coming on by 15 or.
That's not a predetermined
That's
thing.
just a rough plan at this point.
That is absolutely not predetermined.
Then why is it 5 lanes? Who's determined it needs to be 4 lanes? There's nowhere else going east and west is 4 lanes except.
Lincoln Road is.
Lincoln Road.
So in 2012, and that was part of the letter, the access management plan that was done by Bonneville Metropolitan Planning Organization identified this as a minor arterial with shared use priority. That cross section calls for a 5-lane arterial road in 2012.
Well, let me ask you this, if you, as a county, were building a new building out there, would you have to make that improvement if you built the building? Because when you look at the census, we're considered one of the 5 local governments.
Yeah. If Bonneville County was putting a building out on 49th North, yes, I would expect us to do half of a 5-lane arterial road improvement.
Trust me, that's how he thinks about it.
On the frontage of your property.
Yes,
And we've always had a philosophy that you live by the rules you set ourselves, because we're not gonna give ourselves an exemption.
Well, if it's never developed and it's only 5 lanes for 300 yards, it'll be enough. If you know that it's gonna happen, it makes a lot more sense, or as he suggests, us put some money in an escrow or something and build it to look normal, widen that.
Well, that's options. Now that we've heard all sides of that, I think we'll sit down, visit with the legal on and see if we can find a solution. So, okay,
When it comes to that part, I'm opposed to doing things as stopgaps that you have to tear out and be later. So if it was to maintain the road, I wouldn't want to see curb and gutter and sidewalk put in that we're gonna have to tear out 2 years from now and make it 5 lanes. To me, that makes no sense at all.
That looks
But-
like, obviously, what's happened, and there's room for 2 more lanes, they put curb in, so it looks like it's gonna come out a short amount.
And the
well,
place
short
for 3 lanes-
amount of zone traffic studies, maybe 30 years.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
the 3-lane section that was put in under the traffic study shows that it's still a level of service B or C in 2040.
Well, Telford's gonna be that way, I drive it every morning and every night, it's not that crowded yet. I told myself I'll retire when they plat all that, because it'll be so hard to get to work. I leave at 10 to 7 and I'll pass 2 cars going to work.
Well, we forgot to tell you, the other part of that bell loop is Foothill Road, and that's gonna be 7 lanes. And you'll have to put a new bridge across the Floyd canals.
That'll have the county specs, I'm sure.
All right, just kidding. All right, give us a chance. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Always fun. But that's still handle it. So I've got a guy, he's like, it's been a couple of minutes. Wants to talk about his tires out on Mountain Road. He's got a plan.
Oh, does he?
He wants to regard the solution.
My, Mike Hicks is here. He wanted to talk about 49th North also, I think, had a few,
Well,
give us his input. If there's anything different. Do you wanna come on up and just tell us?
Did you hear kind of the long-term plan? So I think your answer is gonna be.
Providing just some additional information, just to have it out there. So, I mean, we got, so,
John? Can you move your?
No.
Thank you. We would like to get done for tomorrow.
See you, Randy.
so can you bring that parcel up there? So some of this is a little bit of a saga with this parcel. When we acquired it about 2.5 years ago, we just did some initial work, and the initial plan was to develop it into a smaller lot subdivision, roughly 25 to 27 lots. And we presented that plan in through P and Z. P and Z said, great, we'll do this. Went to commissioners who said, I don't think so. For one, the property to the north was being worked on, and we'd asked for 1.5 residential zoning for this to allow a little bit smaller lot. And they had also made the same application, so I think it was a volume thing. But anyway, came back out of the commissioners to say, no, we want to keep this because of feedback from the neighbors. We want to keep that side of the street consistent with what's going on there already. So we want you to go back to small acreage. Now, to get to our 3-acre minimum for the county, we've been working with Austin for quite a while. To acquire, then we needed to acquire about 1/4 acre. And so it took us a year to negotiate with Bob and Chantel Dunkley, who owned the property immediately to the east, and we have acquired that additional property. So now we advance the plat. Of course, time has passed, and the comments come back and say, fine, you can do your plat, but now you've got to expand that road. And you got to put in a buffer, etc. And so now what's happened is this trap is formed because over time, the requirements, because if the plat had been, if a higher density plat had been approved 2.5 years ago, we wouldn't have the road expansion. But there's no way to financially with 3-acre lots to pay for the cost of expanding a road in those 3 lots. And let's just be generous, 3 cars per house. Number one, not going to influence traffic a nickel out there. I mean, no influence on traffic at all in a 3-lot subdivision. Of course, all the neighbors would like to see that side of the street stay consistent with the development, to be consistent with what the commissioner said in that meeting, whenever it was. I'm sure Austin will pull that up and tell us when that meeting was.
I remember that meeting.
Yeah, and you know, we've had respect. We respect the decision. We just had to get to the point where, okay, we can move forward and apply, because we acquired the property. Again, when you're acquiring properties for development, you're paying for that property as development property, not as farm property. And so in order for this thing to even break even, we need to sell 3 single lots. Otherwise, we've got to go to back to the high density plat, which we've told the neighbors. And of course, they're not happy. So we basically would go back to where we were before. And even then, it gets pretty marginal by the time that we start paying for some of these additional costs for a subdivision this small, with the limited number of lots it has. In fact, for development purposes, you really can't make any money. You have to hope you can make some money building houses. That's where the margin would be, not the development. And so, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, basically what I've relayed to Mike is anyone in the county who's platting a new subdivision with new lots, we consider it consistent and stay under the same policy, just like what we just discussed with the school, that they're responsible to build their half of the road section.
And the school is platting their property, but it's a single lot. Not
There's
3
just-
lots.
But there's
It's a
just a
single lot.
massive difference when we talk. This conversation was about, a large part of this conversation was that the school is going to influence traffic on 49th. What I'm saying is this development is
But it's still along an
single
arterial
lots.
road.
It's 3 single lots. No way you can say that that's going to influence traffic and it's sharing its burden. It just, all it does is it moves, all I'm saying is timing, when we sat down and started to do this. As a higher density plat, we would not have had to bear the cost of the expansion of the road. And P and Z said, yeah, that makes sense, that's consistent with the zoning, but commissioners came back and said, no, keep it consistent, so we spent this time. Getting this plat on the north side to be consistent with what's on the north side of the road. And now we've got this obstacle. And so I wanted to get, I don't know what the solution is. I'm just saying that we feel caught in advice. Our only option is to go back to the higher density plan in order to be able to make this work. Which brings up, number one is counter to the intention of the commissioners at the time. But fiscal is fiscal. I mean, we all look at that from the standpoint of the county. And we look at the development on the north side of that street and say, okay, it's going to be inconsistent. I mean, I don't have the answers. I just wanted to be sure to get this out from a standpoint of sequence of timing, decisions that were made about acquisition of the land and what's precipitated since then. And now we find ourselves where we are. I'm not faulting the decision and the conversation. I don't want that to be misunderstood. But I'm also saying, gosh, what's happened here isn't normal. This is, I mean, it's just like we say, okay, then we go to comply. And now there's no way to physically comply. By doing larger lots.
Remember the other hearing, that wasn't anything that was brought up then. You do have the option, you know, we can't sit here and predetermine what our decision would be. Since there's a different set of facts to.
Oh, we just have to go back, right? We just have to go back to that plat that we had before.
Yeah, but we don't want to bleed over into talking about that, because that is an option for you. And then, you know, be able to put all of your arguments in there, we make a decision on those arguments. So we've probably gone about as far on the discussion as we better.
To me, from a policy standpoint, and I get the conversation I've developed in Idaho Falls and other areas, and for a long time, if you roadway front, you're expanding and you're putting in buffers and you're doing all that. That's part of what's all known up front from the very beginning. And so I'm just saying that part of the, if we want consistency in that development on the north side, there's no way for the county to say, well, do that. But then you also have to pay for buffers and roadway. It doesn't work. And so it's an inconsistent policy that somebody's, I mean, it's got to be looked at some point so that the same kind of situation.
The other issue, this is in the area of Iona impact now.
Yeah.
Which changed.
You know, would be part of a new discussion also.
Yeah, we'll find.
With Iona. So I need to take a quick convenience break. You guys. Oh, I was just gonna say, if you're looking at anybody, blame these real estate people who are drawing all these people that are coming in.
Well, we'll probably just same thing as we talk with legal about the other side of the road, kind of get a little feel for this.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
can,
I really do get the conversation. It just feels like in this case that.
I think I'm uncomfortable with this. We can't ever be put in the position of arbitrarily deciding, oh, is this one gonna impact traffic and this one's not? It's gotta be a blanket policy. And so then you're gonna have determined how to best pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, and it may be a different plan that you've got now.
Yeah, and I think it's also just clarity of what the policy is going to be as you move out, because there's going to be other developments that are going to come along where people have. This is only 9 acres, but folks come in with larger parcels that have frontage. And the desire is to develop larger parcels, but again, as you have this kind of expense, it's pretty tough to make work. And so, you know, it's a fundamental decision on how and how land is going to be developed as this moves out. And especially in this case, we've got services close enough by, but I see the policy being flawed as we get to areas where maybe some of these services aren't sitting there and reachable. And now what are you going to do? Because the road impact is still the same. I mean, you just get right around the corner here, it's outside the area of impact. And so somebody has 100 acres, and they want to put it into 10-acre lots to fund onto the property. Well, what's the policy going to be when you're not really? And so it's just something that I saw that I thought, well, it's probably something that needs to be a part of the conversation. And the financial realities, because I get how expensive it is to do roads completely.
Well, thanks for
We
coming
better
here
move
this
on.
year, but appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you listening.
Thank you. And get it back, David.
So I just, I just had somebody join, Chad Murdoch. Can we do a quick discussion about the tires before we move on to some other items? So Chad approached me last week by telephone about trying to somehow find a solution for the tire situation. Things have changed since we talked about it last. You know, there was a renter in there and we thought we had an agreement with her to get those tires moved out.
Is Chad the owner?
Chad has family members of the owner. So Chad, you want to just briefly explain where you're at in our conversation?
Yeah, so my grandpa's brother was Rex Shirtliff, and he was the original owner of that property. And so his two children, Daryl and Denny, are the current owners, and they inherited that property, not knowing that they would inherit it because my aunt was at Life Care Center for a number of years, and Medicare or Medicaid, she had a lien on that. You know, they had a lien that covered all of her care. And I think the lien was to the tune of about $700,000. So they knew that when she died, that the state was going to get that property. And so I became involved in just helping them get some market analysis and determine the value of the property, which is around 400-ish, 500,000 a few years ago. And we did this. And then we had we had to figure out how much the tires were worth. And we got a bill from somebody that said it'd be about $1.2 million to move those tires. And so the estate attorney submitted that into the state, and it wasn't within 48 hours that the state released the lien. And now the brothers own the property. So we weren't expecting that, and they weren't expecting that. But my cousin Denny, he lives there in the back. And so anyway, so they just are living with this problem. You know, neither one of them have means of being able to, I mean, they neither one of them have much money. They're month to month. And so they just kind of deal with the stress of knowing that, you know, and what had happened, I think you guys are aware, but if not, but the original tire tenant, I think this was back in the 80s somewhere, maybe early 90s, that he came in and just started, you know, getting paid for tire disposal fees and started putting it in the back of the lot. And then that grew and grew and grew to where, you know, nothing ever happened. And my uncle just kind of, you know, let it happen, trusted him for his word, and then realized this is probably his problem. And I think they've just kind of hoped that by working with this tenant, that eventually the tires would be removed. And that tenant, you know, then it was their daughter that did it. And I guess there were some drug issues. And I think the county actually went in and shut that business down, which is probably a good thing. But now, you know, now those guys are totally out of it. And so now my two cousins, who don't even know I'm having this conversation, I just mentioned to them, I've just talked to them over the years, and I just know that, you know, they've been told that it's not a matter of if, it's when this fire will happen. They've been told, and, you know, I don't know how accurate the information is, but you guys probably know better. But I mean, what would be the air damage? You know, if those tires were to go, would you be able to put it out? I mean, would it cost? I mean, is there a huge health risk? It sounds like there is. They think there is. You know, and if there's a huge health risk, and if it would cost millions of dollars in this fire, maybe there might be something to look at to figure out how to be more proactive and avoid. I mean, inevitably, that's probably what will happen if we wait. And if we can be proactive, maybe this is something we can avoid. And I called Dave Radford and talked with him a month or two ago, and he mentioned to me about in Salmon, Lemhi County, how they kind of had not as big of an issue, but they had a similar issue, and they bought a tire chopper and shredder, and then they kind of turned a business into it. And I don't think they made a lot of money, but they were, I think, able to pay for the shredder, and they were able to provide those to schools and landscapers. And I talked to the one commissioner who headed up, has passed away, veterinarian, I can't remember his name, but I talked to another commissioner, and he was there for that. And he was, I mean, he was definitely proud of the action they did there. And so anyway, the bottom line, and the reason why I called Brian, who I've known for years, is, is this something we want to try to talk about now? Again, I'm just a family member. The shirtless don't even know I'm having this conversation. But I know they appreciate any effort, that I can do to kind of use my experience and expertise and people I know to see if we can help them, take care of this. So that's where I'm coming from at this point.
Explain to Chad that how much difficulty we have even getting rid of the tires we're dealing with in Bonneville County. But is there any option for the county to purchase a chopper and then be able to sell them better, get rid of them at a better rate? Or
we've been there and done that.
Yeah, we used to have a chopper and the shreds caused so much problem in the landfill that we stopped and sold the machine. And then we started hauling them.
Yeah, one of the things we did, Chad, was when we got the grinder, because we couldn't find a market for it, we got it approved to use for daily cover up on the landfill, and then DEQ. I mean, you couldn't get them down to small enough that they wouldn't still float. That's the reason you can't put them in a landfill, because you got air and then they float to the top.
Yeah.
But that chopper was extremely expensive and broke down a lot.
so how many are we able to get rid of every week, Blair? Are we hauling them or?
Yeah, we're dumping probably 2,000 to 3,000 a week.
At what cost?
$210.
Each load.
So each load is about $2,200.
And we're paying that.
Yeah.
For how many tires?
Estimate probably, they estimate that there's between 90 and 100 car tires in a ton. We're getting 13, 14 ton on a load, so 11, the load I took the other day was 11 and a half ton, and it was $2,200. So it's 210, I think, is what they're charging now. And we're getting a little bit of a break because we're separating our truck tires away from our car tires. Normally it's like $225 to $250, I think you pay if they combine them. We separate them for I separated them for that reason, so we can save a little bit of money that they weren't combined, mixed together. So
Do we have an option to not accept tires any longer?
We've talked about that, and they end up along the road.
I know this is where they may get uncomfortable. Technically, we do. We just don't take them, and then everybody has to dispose of them.
Well, I feel like Bonneville County has an issue out here, and I own it, that we tried to deal with for years, and Chad's correct. I mean, the cost, if that ever caught fire, is huge.
one of the other problems that they're having out there right now is because we raised our price. People are driving out to that property and just fucking on the fence to borrow it.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's out of control, and they don't know how to control it, Yeah, no, that's another issue.
They're, don't feel bad. They're also doing that in the foothills and all the.
Well, no, I just feel bad for my cousins, because I mean, it's just, it's just a problem that, it's just a weight, I mean, it's a weight that they don't want to be irresponsible citizens, and they don't want to be on national headlines when their tire thing burns for 3 weeks. And, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a weight.
County had a fire in their tire pit, and it was 3-4 months, and it was still burning, and they tried to put it out.
Estimate how many tires are there?
I would have to go out again. I did it at one point, but I don't remember exactly what it was. So you said the market value of the property is like 400,000 or 500,000?
I mean, it was then. I don't know if commercial over there. Yeah, I mean, probably around there, somewhere around there. So,
An independent tire company that I had talked to that was willing to give us a bid to see what it would be to remove those tires, but it sounds like probably be 1.2 million, close to, from what you said.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's an independent tire contractor that we contracted to haul away, he just doesn't show up and doesn't take tires.
Yeah, our guy, the guy that we have contracted right now, he charges us another $75, I think, you know, for his time and effort and whatever.
Is he around here?
Yeah.
This was a company out of
Idaho
Salt
Tire.
Lake that takes them and then recycles them.
Liberty Tire, yeah, that's the
Might have
same
been.
place.
Yeah.
Every tire in Idaho
Goes
goes
there.
to Liberty Tire, every tire in the western
So that'd
United
probably be
States.
the same price.
That guy in Plymouth to set up a tire place too.
I think the 1.2 million price was something, I had nothing to do with getting it. Denny did it, and I think he was working with someone through Big O Tires and whoever they used, or Les Schwab, and was able to get, I think that's where he went through that path to get there.
And all Liberty Tire drops trailers in Idaho Falls at all these tire stores. And then they dispose of their tires in those trailers, and then Liberty comes and picks them up and takes them back. And that's also what the Idaho Tire Recycler does here as well, so.
Yeah. Hey, one clarification I'll put on this, when I gave the value of, and the reason why the tire thing came up is because I gave the value of 400,000 to 500,000 with the tires gone, because I don't feel like it's even a marketable property at this point, you know, and so there is a caveat to that 400,000 to 500,000. That's if it's got an empty lot there, so.
I just kind of feel like until we get this problem solved, we shouldn't be taking more tires. I feel like this is a bit of a county liability, but then it concerns me where those tires will go if we don't take them.
Well, I can tell you where they'll go.
They'll be thrown over the fence here.
Or up on
Along
the
the
side.
wayside.
Us not taking tires is not adding to his problem. See, because his is technically not a county problem. DEQ is responsible for the enforcement of environmental, not the county. I don't think we have any ordinances that we can do that. And
Has
so
DEQ ever got in, has DEQ ever came to you about that problem?
I mean, again, it's my cousins. I'm not aware of them ever stepping foot on the property.
I know at one time they wanted the county to address that so that they weren't the bad guy. That was a few
which
years
we don't,
back.
I don't think we have anything in our ordinances to address that.
Yeah.
And that's the difficulty of trying to solve this.
The state has some,
I'm not familiar with.
I wonder if there's any state funding.
yeah,
for
there used to
environmental
be, there used to be part of the charge for disposal went into a state fund for
Right.
the people that abandon us, leave big tire problems like that. I don't know if there's still any money out there for that or not.
Because they still charge that, don't they?
Yeah.
Disposal fee,
Yeah,
so we may need to.
That may be the best solution, yeah, is to see if that money's available.
See, and Chad, so you're aware, you know, part of the issue the county had, is we didn't use to charge for bringing tires over. And that's how we ended up out of that, what was the church farm pit?
yeah, church from pit.
Where we were disposing them. And all of the tire companies would charge the customers $3 to $5 a tire. And then come dump them for free.
Yeah.
And so we had a huge amount, which eventually caught fire. You know, which was a problem. And that was a county tire problem. So we implemented the fees there. And so the tire companies now ship their own out of there and don't bring them to us.
Yeah.
They were making a lot of money off of us.
Yeah, I bet. And yeah, I mean, had this guy been proactive with the tires, it could have been totally eliminated back then when it was free. But yeah, it was I mean, those are old tires. Those are old tires.
If he would have eliminated them when they were free, because he would have brought them all over to us. You know.
Mhm.
We can check with DEQ and see if there's some funds for that.
I'll do a little follow-up on that and see, and in the meantime, Chad, if you come up with any other ideas, I know you've been working hard on this, let me know, but I'll see if there is some state money available.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't have any other ideas. I just know it's $1 million. These guys are never going to be able to get $1 million. I mean, they could have DEQ come in and do a forced removal and have them garnish them, put a judgment on them for $1 million, which I've seen them do before with other people, and then garnish their Social Security for the rest of their for the 20-year judgment lien period. And I mean, that's I mean, that's the only other way I know of is have a forced thing, or and the way I'm just looking at it is what I'd said before is just, I mean, if this were to burn tomorrow and it caused a big problem, not only, just health, I mean, what would we have wished we would have done 3 years ago or 5 years ago to avoid it? I mean, that's kind of the way I'm trying to approach it. So, because we never know when that's going to happen. It could be sitting here 20 years from now, but might be tomorrow it lights up. So, because it's not hurting them now, it's just stress of the unknown. I mean, they're running their shed business. I mean, it's not, it's just, and when they die, then what? I mean, it's just not going to go away. And they're both in their 70s. So,
Yeah.
So is the gal that's took over that tire business, is she no longer doing that, or?
She was the one that I think he referred to, that they had a drug issue there.
Was that so the gal that was running it here at the end, is she gone? She not taking tires anymore?
So I'm aware, and again, my details are probably very limited, but I was aware of a guy who started out, he just put them off and off and off. The problem, I think he had intent, honest intent at the beginning, but then he just realized it was more than he could handle. So he just, didn't do it. Then one of the children took it over, and they worked out some deal with the county, someone that was enforcement with the county. And then they were doing some drugs or got caught with drugs. And I don't know if that's what triggered, but I know the county actually went and forced them to shut down, from what I was told by Denny. So they actually made them, and I guess it was a fight that they said they were going to sue, and then they never did. But the county, from what I understand, closed that business and made them stop.
Them not to take any more tires, and we had an agreement with them that they were hauling a truck off like once a month, and they were giving us the receipts. And that stopped when that drug stuff happened. So
was that Aaron?
I can't remember her name. I'd have to go look in the case.
Yeah, the Aaron, the guy that was doing that and utilizing that property, he was disposing of it. And
We're not gonna solve it solved today.
Yeah.
I think
I'll look into that. Thanks for bringing it to our attention, Chad. We're gonna have to move on to this meeting.
Yeah, no, thanks for giving me some time. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. I noticed a Cheryl on here. Is that somebody that some input? Sounds good. Or has a question? Guess if they don't speak, they don't.
She's chatting on here. Oh, she was commenting. I know she's good.
Okay. Okay, what else have we got?
So I give you a map here just to show you if they are making a little progress on that Cooper Family Trust county owned parcel.
Or up on.
Highway 6. I've got a few comments to send back to Ellsworth, but apparently the Cooper Family Trust didn't want to participate. Their parcel isn't outlined on this one. So I was going to ask if you wanted me to approach Ellsworth and get a description for that, what the county would have remaining.
Probably a good idea.
Well, while they're this deep
Have a
into
little
it,
orphan bit of.
it probably wouldn't take a whole lot to.
Which one is theirs?
The one that says Old Roosevelt Highway on it. So it's the southerly 40 feet of the Old Roosevelt Highway. I guess 4 out of 5 parcels, isn't too bad, I guess.
Yeah, I just hate treating one different than the rest. The rest have had to step up and do their own, right?
Well, yeah, right, but I'm saying
The knees.
for us in the future. When they do decide to purchase it, we'd have a description ready to go.
I guess we don't have a choice.
So are they using it?
Yeah, they're fine.
Other than that, I guess you could always declare it an excess property and auction it off. Somebody could buy it for a
phone
spike.
call, so there's a spike strip and they can't find it.
Anyway,
I think we don't have a choice. I wish they would be willing to work with us a little more.
it's just the niece that's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if I can get them to provide that one. Have you seen any agreement from Caribou County on plowing?
Did you get a phone call from him?
I did not today. I was looking for a call.
So she's staying there?
I saw your text. that
Yeah,
said
okay.
She's
She's
staying
staying
there.
there and there was some discussion that he had with Roger about some other parking place for the snowmobiles that would be closer and easier.
Years ago.
Yeah, well, I was kind of against that, and I asked him about it for the youth meeting and didn't have any additional information, so.
Yeah, because I think it was them that kind of said these guys would be willing to move it back, but as long as, what's her name?
She's staying there for another year.
As long as she's there, you can't. let her
Good on
snow
her.
in and die.
Yep.
But we still don't have an agreement.
We haven't
For
seen it.
plowing.
I will call him when we're.
And then it's that time of year when.
Yes, it
we
is.
really need to have the agreement if they're gonna plow.
We've given you some grace by not having a snow.
Yeah.
You know,
You
Well-
guys can, the landfill made that happen, bought some snow removal equipment.
right,
Now we're not being able to use it because we have no snow.
okay,
We do need to close some roads pretty quick.
Yeah.
One road needs to be closed pretty quick.
yeah,
And so just letting you know that it's gonna happen. If we get another snowstorm, we'll probably be closing those roads
and the gates,
and the gates. Yeah.
and then work out with the wind company.
Yeah.
Okay, did you guys have anything?
I do have a couple items. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. First, thanks for meeting with Tracy and Tony on the snow removal for the Lincoln.
Yeah.
Sounds like we got something good worked out there. So thanks, Lance. I just wanted to mention with the school discussion, that wasn't my discussion to jump in at, but it was like a copy of the same discussion we just had with the White Pine Charter School.
Deja vu all over again.
Totally was. And we required the White Pine Charter School to build their fair share, just like you guys are requiring at school. And we ended up actually building the road, but they ended up paying us $356,000 for their fair share. They would have had to build that, but we were doing the project anyway. The other thing I wanted to mention was, Mark with Rockwell said that we had a bond with them to not move the power poles. That's not true. We are requiring that they move the power poles. They want to have a bond. That's what their request has been to the city, but we're not gonna do that. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Good to know. Yeah, because that helps.
Yeah.
It would have helped to know. When we're here, then it gets too argumentative.
It does.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate you holding off.
Yeah, and in terms of the developer moving poles versus the city, our policy is that if it's a developer initiated development, which we do consider the school district a developer, then it is on them to move the poles. And Tim Solomon has been really clear with us. He said, please don't blur that line. So we've tried to stay close to that.
Well, that's, we can look at options to ways to make it a county project, whether it's us collecting the money and putting it out for bid. You know, even
I mean,
if
you
you're-
could do it that way.
even if
Yeah.
you're close, you know, and yeah, we end up doing just a small project out there. But we've got the money to do it, at least it gets done.
Yeah.
Cause we've had that discussion, I don't know if you were around, when most people came in. Said, well, they're all the same taxpayer, yeah, they're collecting money for a different purpose.
Yeah.
And putting an impact on. The general taxpayers.
Yeah, it's actually their taxpayers. That it's affecting,
Right.
not
Anyway.
the general taxpayer.
The last thing on that I was gonna mention is we have an ordinance that whenever we collect a bond, which is rare, we do collect bonds. But they're in rare circumstances, it's always 200% of the engineer's estimated cost. And the reason for that is because of what you brought up, how costs change over time. And we find that when we collect that 200%, and when we actually have to exercise it, it's usually pretty close.
Could you get a copy of that cost and plans?
You bet.
So they get a kickback from what's not used.
We just returned.
Ours
Yeah.
is 150 right now.
Is it?
Ours was 150, and then we changed it, I think this 2 years ago to 200%.
It should probably try to select,
Yeah.
and it was 151 and a half.
Well, that's a discussion, and when we're trying to figure that out. We can talk to Tim and kind of see if it puts him in an awkward spot. You know, because, you know, the option is to go out and just start right away acquisition for development of that road, and then it becomes a county project.
That's a really good indicator.
Then ask them to move out of the right of way or to the edge of it. So is that? Yeah, I mean, we can look at that when we talk about it. Anyway.
Yeah.
You come up here too, Wade.
There's
I
fair.
like surfing the back.
Yeah. So, one other thing, good news, the original Hit Road Urban Renewal District in Hammond is closing in 2024. And that district was supposed to add $22 million to the assessed value. It's actually now at 32 million. So that's a great project. That's a really good example of how urban renewal can work to benefit the whole community. Because if you remember, that was just Albertsons and Target. But before that, that was a mobile home park, and there was a couple of broken down buildings there. But extending the services just for that little kidney shaped development sparked development up and down Hit Road, which benefited everybody, benefited the whole community. So I'm really, really happy that finally, 30 years later, we're able to close that out. And I mentioned that for you guys as you move into budget season. So when you're doing your, I don't know what the county does with L2s, but when we do our L2, we'll have to account for that closure in the L2. And right now it's about 13 million for that rural district. What's interesting with that district is there were two bonds to extend the water, sewer, and all the infrastructure. There was the bond to First Security Bank, which then went to Wells Fargo. And then there was the bond to the developer. And the way that urban renewal district was designed was the bank was the first in line. And then the developer was second. The bank was paid off just 2 years ago. And that's because the project took a long time, you know, to get the values that was anticipated. The developer has never been paid a penny for that project. Now, when we close the project out, there will be probably a couple $100,000 in the bank left over, and that'll all go to the developer. That was basically what the deal was. The developer to date, with interest accrued, they're probably about $6 million on their portion of the project. They'll never get that back, and that was the risk they took. You know, they extended the infrastructure. We extended the infrastructure that we had on our side, and they're going to get probably $200,000 back. And last for me on urban renewal, talking about this tire project, how many acres is that?
It's what, 3 acres?
Oh, it's a five. It's just a tall stack.
Well, I was gonna say, that could be a good project for an urban renewal district. If you've got, you know, $1 million payable. But at 3 acres, I don't think it's big enough to capture much, you know. It would be a perfect slum-like situation.
Yeah, it's not a very big parcel for how many tires are there.
Yeah,
Well, and there's not gonna be many more than that.
and there's never gonna be anybody, it's never gonna make economic sense for a developer to come in and do that themselves. You know, and that's where that tool is effective. I don't know if there's anything else in the area that needs cleaned up, but. Counties can do districts.
I can think of one that needs cleaned up, but it's just an older problem.
Yeah, that's not county.
Anything for me?
No.
Anything I can help with?
Good to see you.
Good to be here, thanks.
Good meeting.
You got anything?
Yeah, we had a good discussion with Austin and Lance and your staff has been great with us and being patient with us over in the city. We're still working on the area of impact. We had a good meeting with Lance and Austin about a week ago. And then I don't know if you may or may not be aware, Randy Fife retired, our city attorney. So Mike Kirkham took over as the city attorney. He's been officially appointed. And then went to Hawaii. So we're needing some legal interpretation for our area of impact where Chris Frederickson and I, the public works director, and we really liked your agreement with Ammon. So we're drafting up that. And I think we're really moving along. We've had some conversations with our elected officials and we were kind of getting a little bit log jammed. And anyways, it's moving along now. So appreciate Commissioner Reed meeting with the mayor and anyways.
No, I appreciate you and well, and her being willing to take another look at this, moving along. I think if we can keep it at your level and get it as strong as possible, you know, with feedback from us. And then we should be able to work this through. So
Yeah, I do too. So
yeah, thanks for taking hold of it again.
oh, no problem. It is one thing I want to see finished. It's a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but that's okay. We'll just keep working at it. So
Appreciate your perseverance.
You haven't been working on it very long.
Right.
Trust me.
Right. Yeah, I'm just the new guy.
I could
Still,
give you-
Big Foot still plays
I
that.
could give you another definition of working on it longer. than that. Not getting it done. So,
It is something I do want to get done.
And I might just say, Wade, that you're one of the reasons that I had the confidence to want to go out this again, you and Austin. So we've got two new faces there. We can, I can sense the sincere desire you have to just get things done the right way. And so, yeah, credit to you.
Oh, thank you. And
Austin, but we'll get this done.
Yeah, I'm an open book. I'm here to help. Same with as Michael was talking about, whatever I can do to help, please let me know. So, and that was all I had. I know you've been here quite a while.
just root for BYU.
That's the joys of being a Midwestern. I can always claim neutrality on all that.
I know. Okay. We beat it all to death.
Sean, did you have?
No, I just started last data. Okay, I guess we're done.
Everybody.